Well, it's my pleasure to get to introduce to you a lot of people, one after another, who will tell you the benefits that they've received from Peace Haven. So the first one, we're just going to stand here, and do we have the mic? Do you have the mic? Okay. Forrest Denson, a Christian Science nurse, one of our instructors in nurse training, and a mentor.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here. Our cup runneth over. I've always been interested in helping others. I just didn't know in what capacity. I had explored different avenues, but as I got more involved in these areas of support, it proved to be difficult because the focus was all about the human aspect. The foundation of the overall thought was not spiritually based thinking. It just didn't feel like a complete approach to care. Something was missing. After some gentle encouragement, I looked into Christian Science nursing. Just 10 minutes into my first training class, I knew that this is what I had been looking for. The peaceful, gentle, loving, calm, inspired, and uplifted thought that was expressed by the entire staff made it abundantly clear that this was my right place. I feel very blessed to be a part Yes. I feel very blessed to be a part of the Christian Science nursing family. Christian Science nursing is a very special and sacred expression of divine love's ever-present care. I see Christian Science nursing as one collective ministry, one collective expression, one collective thought. And within that collective ministry is each unique expression in our own individual ministries. I feel as though it is the divine, seamless expression of ministering to the needs of our fellow man. I have been blessed to be a witness to the unwavering strength and effectiveness of God's omnipotent love. Love does conquer all. The strength of love can knock down any seeming obstacle and bless any situation, no matter what is trying to distract from the truth. Love is effective, as it is a direct reflection of the Christ's healing touch. Thank you.
Thank you. Suzanne. Suzanne Conant, also a Christian Science nurse and one of our instructors.
Thank you, Forrest. I have the privilege of working with this gentleman, close, side by side. It was really nice to sit so close to the piano. The music was beautiful. Thank you so much. And the slides were beautiful. I think if Peace Haven needs to raise money, they could sell those nature pictures and put in people's art gallery in their living room. They were so inspiring. I came into Christian Science nursing out of high school in gratitude to God for bringing me out of a tough situation. There was a lot of spiritual growth for me that summer out of high school. And I've always seen my Christian Science nursing ministry as an opportunity for spiritual growth. Two things have become more important to me this year in my role as instructor and mentor. I'm seeing how important it is to take everything I do in my Christian Science nursing ministry back to the manual bylaw. I love doing this because every time I do, I find my Christian Science nursing ministry strengthened. Mary Bakeretti tells us that we should be a law unto ourselves. I've really been staying close to that idea this year and learning what it means to be a law unto myself. I'm learning that it means not only to do things right, but to hold myself to a standard of excellence. To me, it means allowing the Christ to touch every part of my life and every part of my Christian Science nursing ministry and raise them up. It means demanding of myself the highest quality of work I can do in everything. It means, excuse me, in Christian Science nursing, there are so many opportunities to practice this. One of the great benefits of doing this is that I am not only personally blessed and strengthened in my own life, which is a sweet reward. The more I do this in my work as a Christian Science nurse, the more my nursing ministry supports, imparts, and witnesses healing. And healing is what the Christian Science movement is all about.
Oh, thank you. Jordan Kruger, one of our supervisors and Christian Science nurses.
Thank you. So nice to see you all, and what a great opportunity this is for all of us to cherish the idea of nursing and have a feeling of, I just have a feeling of God blanketing us with divine love, and it's beautiful to behold. Christian Science nursing has been a moment-by-moment unfolding of blessings. It has had a profound effect, acting to form and focus my whole daily living of Christian Science, and has been an indispensable component to my general practice of it. It is continually moving and demanding thought to embrace more Christliness, to express a higher degree of unconditional love. The demand to express God's qualities in order to sense how God is sustaining a functional and progressive atmosphere in a facility setting like Peace Haven has been most helpful. I feel that this kind of gentle but persistent encouraging to practice peace, love, expectancy of good, joy, seeing order replace the belief of chaos, patience, gentleness, persistence, to name a few, is exactly in line with where I feel my practice of Christian Science needed to develop. All things work together for good, and in this ministry there have been so many signs and evidences proving this fact. I have sensed a quiet but recognizable leavening, my horizon expanding in how I view Christian Science, how I view myself, others, and the whole world around me. This broadening view has also let me recognize more of just how utterly dependent I am on God, divine love's animating force, moment by moment expressing itself, seeing more evidence of how we all are this very expression. How eternally rich the treasures of God makes one feel. And Christian Science nursing is definitely a treasure that God has so graciously brought into my experience. Blessings indeed abound.
Thank you, Jordan. Sharon Carper, and she's speaking to us as a recipient of outpatient care. Thank you.
Yes, I'm a recipient of the love of all of those people. I want to tell you about an experience I had as an outpatient patient at Peace Haven. Earlier this year, when I needed help caring for a deep wound, the Christian Science nurses at Peace Haven provided outpatient care with such calm, trust, love, gentleness, and confidence. And often I would leave the outpatient room feeling so enveloped in love and comfort. It assured me that I was loved, that God had never left my side, and that, of course, healing was going on. When the temptation to get discouraged seemed overwhelming and I was returning to the outpatient room on a sometimes every 3-day basis, I admitted that I was discouraged, and the nurse that was taking care of me responded with such love and compassion and firmness. She got down on her knees and took both of my hands in hers, and she assured me that only good was going on, and that suddenly my discouragement melted, and it was a real breakthrough for me. Sometimes when a healing takes longer than we think it should, or there's fear that the situation is never going to get better, we find ourselves discouraged or disappointed. And this was the case with my situation, and after several months I was still bandaging, getting nurses' help, and wondering when I'd be free. But I loved how the nurses treated me during these times. And even when I expressed discouragement, they could see the healing, because they often took time to tell me I was doing just what I needed to do and that I was just fine. Confidence always flowed after these sessions for me. I'd walk out to the parking lot and I'd feel like I'd been wrapped in this wonderful fleece of love, and that a sense of peace and calm and all was well enveloped me. Looking back on this experience, I'm most grateful for what I loved about nursing. How to handle those scary pictures and love those nurses that are doing for me what I know that God is helping us to do. I love a little plaque that I have that sits on my counter, and when I'm washing my dishes every day, I read this little plaque. It says, "Trust God, you're right where you need to be."
Thank you, Sharon. This is Beth Caldwell, and she also received outpatient care for her son.
Yes, hi. When we knew we needed a bit of help from a Christian Science nurse for our son after a fall from his bike, Peace Haven was our first choice. The Christian Science nurse who provided outpatient care was so gentle and loving with our son. She not only gave him practical care and support that he needed, but also gave him the wonderful, loving assurance that all was well. Her peace about the physical situation dissolved our fears, and that was so appreciated. We were able to leave with a calm trust that we could safely continue in our prayerful work. We experienced firsthand the way God meets our every need right here, right now. Every practical need was supplied in such a loving, gentle, and precise way. We were so grateful when we left that day, and the healing was complete soon after.
Thank you so much, Beth. Great. Holly. This is Holly Brulin, recipient of Parent-Infant Care.
My husband and I wanted the loving, inspired, and skillful support of a Christian Science nurse to be an important part of welcoming our baby into our family. And we felt that a Christian Science nurse would be ideally positioned to work harmoniously with our certified midwife, our Christian Science practitioner, and us. Throughout the pregnancy and birth, the Christian Science nurse helped us to allay fear, to communicate effectively with our midwife, to act upon angel messages, and ultimately experience healing. When our first child arrived, we were living in another city, and there were no Christian Science nurses in the area. What a difference Peace Haven's mother-infant service made in the birth of our second child. I know I speak for many, many grateful mothers when I say what a privilege and blessing it was to work with a Christian Science nurse. As I think over our many interactions, I'm pretty sure that each time we met or spoke, she imparted a spot-on passage or spiritual insight that just felt so relevant and true. In addition to her amazing support at the birth, the Christian Science nurse was also a huge help during the first night and early days with our new baby. She supported us with the baby's first feedings, baths, and so much more. My husband and I felt so loved and cared for throughout. This provision of Christian Science nursing really felt to us like the coincidence of the human and divine, meeting us gently each step of our journey and lifting us higher. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Holly. This is Sharon Austin, and she's one of our independent living residents.
Thank you. Okay. Last fall, I brought my husband to Peace Haven for care because the private duty Christian Science nurse and I couldn't continue to lift and move him as needed. A few months later, he passed on, and I had a healing of grief that day. It was so clear to me that sorrow and grief were but another form of animal magnetism. We heard about that. I rebuked the error and declared that I would only listen to God's voice. I was filled with joy in knowing that my husband and I were enveloped in God's loving care and that there was no change in God's creation. During this experience, it was a clear directive from God that led me to live in Peace Haven's residential wing. And I followed with absolute trust in God's plan for me. My house and furnishings sold in the spring, and I moved into Peace Haven as a permanent resident. Peace Haven has a loving and supportive atmosphere in which to grow spiritually. For me, it is truly a haven, and it is my home. I've learned that Christian Science nursing is the reflection of God as mother, expressed in compassion, tenderness, mercy, comfort, peace, and love. The administration of Peace Haven reflects God as Father through the expression of courage, strength, wisdom, understanding, order, peace, harmony, and love. My heart is overflowing with gratitude.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Sharon. Bonnie Butler, also an independent liver.
We're always livers, aren't we? Thank you for your interest in Peace Haven. As some of you know, I lived in St. Louis and worked here for more than 40 years. Then the last few years, I've been volunteering in the facilities around the Middle West. Last summer, I experienced what nurses do. I'm very, very grateful for their support. They are not impressed or depressed by the human scene. They are not part of the human scene except to do as they are required to do to support one's own demonstration of ongoing life and life to the fullest. When I was ready to function on my own, Peace Haven had grown to that position of being available for people to live there. What a wonderful idea. I had volunteered there when I lived here, but I never thought I would live there. That was too good to expect. When I arrived, of course, I met the team of Christian Science nurses and staff who are there to support and to care. They really do show that grace and all of what's needed that we know about in hymn 278, when we're told to be cared for, beloved, protected. That's nursing care at Peace Haven. And they don't confine themselves to the nursing wing. They give that care and that smile and that greeting to those of us who don't see them as often and who are in the independent wing. We have graduated to see more of our fullness and our independence. But we know we have that family behind us. As Chestnut said with Mrs. Eddy's quotation about divine love meeting every human need, that's a promise. And we know God's promises are fulfilled. And it's each one's individual promise. And each one will receive the individual answer. It's a fulfillment of that full manifestation of God. And Peace Haven is that manifestation. And home is that manifestation. We know and we've learned to turn everything into ideas. And that's what Peace Haven helps one to do. I'm very grateful.
Thanks, Bonnie.
You next.
Now, this is Suzette Perkins, and her mom is in our Light Assistance Program.
Okay, this is what they did. They said yes. They keep saying yes. So I called 2 years ago. I'm going a little off topic here from my thing, shocker, right, Deb? From my little piece of paper that's this big, and everybody's talking way more than 2 minutes, so I'll try to be 2 minutes, not long. So my mom was at Cedar Ridge, which was a Christian Science community in Wisconsin, and they were closing. And I'd been living in this area for about 6 years, and the two wings in Peace Haven were empty. And so one day I thought, I'm just going to call Annie. And I said, hey, honey, listen, my mom needs a place to live. Can she live in one of those rooms on those two halls? And Annie said, yeah. I said, cool. I said, we'll be there in 30 days. And then I said, okay, so she's got some furniture, but she doesn't really need it. Like, do you guys have stuff? And maybe this could just be this really simple thing. What did she say? Yeah. She said yes again. So 30 days later we came, and now it's a couple years later, and my brothers and I could not be more grateful for the fact that my mom has this lovely neighborhood where she's respected and honored and valued, and she participates. She marks a set of books. She called me one day and said, honey, have you voted? I said, yes, of course, Mother. I said, how about you? She said, well, actually, Val, who's one of the employees, she found out what precinct we're in. She got me all the issues. She brought me the sheet of paper. She picked me up. She took me there. She stayed right with me until I voted and brought me home. I thought, Father, what more could you want? Anyway, those are just a couple of examples of the beauty. And again, she gets to be independent. Her dignity's preserved, and she's just super loved up. She often calls me and starts out, I'm so grateful for Peace Haven. And again, what she really sought was a Christian Science environment because she'd been in another retirement community where the conversation was often about the body, world issues, and there wasn't a lot of interest maybe in talking about solutions. So this has been, again, just great for her to be part of this. And I just have to say one more thing about these nurses, because I had an opportunity to spend some time myself. I needed some care. And so I spent a couple weeks in the West Wing last summer, and then moved up to rest and study and got to live right next to my mom when I was able to do that, and then was able to go home. And one of the things that, as I was leaving, that Penny said to me when I was in rest and study, we were just talking about, was I able to kind of go and be able to navigate on my own? And she said, you know, Suzette, everybody here is doing important work. And I know I nodded immediately because I could get that, and I agreed, but I want to say in the couple months since, that's just been this lovely, sweet, deep thing that has continued to bloom and blossom in my heart and thought. And again, that's how I know my mom feels, that she is doing important work and that everyone there is. And I encountered that as a patient. I mean, these are guys you want on your team. This friend of mine says Christian Science nurses are the Navy SEALs of the Christian Science movement.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I think that's
and they are truly. They would just, you know, again, hang with me. It was just the sweetest gift to get to, even though I'm there as a practitioner, I'm there with seeing my mom, but to be a patient and to get to see this little city hum 24/7 was so beautiful and kind and caring. And these are people you want on your team. These are people you want to know. If you don't know a Christian Science nurse, take one to coffee. Ask them what they do. Get to know them. There's a ton of them. And just, I couldn't be more grateful to have watched Peace Haven from many arenas, and again, saying yes is a good thing.
Thank you, Suzette. Elizabeth Ritter, also a daughter of a nursing wing patient.
As we were praying about the right care in place for my mom, the way to Peace Haven simply and clearly opened. As an attorney, I've worked with a variety of nursing facilities and families requiring their care. While most genuinely work to provide for their residents' needs, the experience with Christian Science nursing at Peace Haven has been uniquely focused on each patient as a complete and whole, an unailingly whole child of God, and is focused on an expectation of complete healing. This is completely different than any other facility you're going to go into. I also have an absolute faith that every nurse at Peace Haven cares for my mother with such a genuine sense of love. We have been so incredibly grateful for that sense of love. These nurses are so clearly loving each patient's individual expression of God and supporting that expression without compromise. I also appreciate the support that the nurses have shown to the rest of my family as we have adjusted to my mother's needs. Their care has extended well beyond the doorways of the facility, and their support has been both welcome and very much appreciated. The way the nurses have embraced our family has enabled us to let go of concern and focus on healing. My gratitude for the perspective of the Christian Science nurse knows no bounds. It's not merely a job for which they collect a paycheck. It's a purposeful commitment to an expression of divine love.
Oh, thank you, Elizabeth. That's beautiful. This is Joan Siskin, and she's a volunteer, and she's reading a testimonial on behalf of her husband, Dan.
Right. My husband wrote this, but I concur 100% with it. I volunteer at Peace Haven to serve the cause of Christian Science, to help Peace Haven maintain its high standards, to relieve the nurses of laundry responsibilities, and to do a fun activity with my wife that benefits others. It's a real privilege to work in such a loving, healing atmosphere where the staff's appreciation of us is icing on the cake. Inspiration and insights gleaned from various employment at other Christian Science nursing facilities continue to be reaffirmed and deepened when I am serving at Peace Haven. In driving around St. Louis, I sometimes feel my spiritual sense assaulted by the many symbols of material medicine, monstrous medical complexes, local urgent care clinics, and specialty clinics, not to mention the presence of doctors' offices everywhere. I liken these to the earthquake, wind, and fire mentioned in the Bible. Conversely, I feel my spiritual sense silently uplifted by Peace Haven's very presence, which I liken to that still, small voice mentioned in the same Bible story. Peace Haven is an important part of the St. Louis Christian Science community. There are many reasons to volunteer at Peace Haven, and I'm grateful for all of them.
Thank you, Joan. Margie McKelvey, also a volunteer.
Good morning. I received wonderful care at Peace Haven following an accident. I was so grateful for the care I received, it was natural for me to give back by volunteering. When I learned that laundry folding volunteers would help save money, I thought, I can do that. I see and hear a lot when I'm standing and folding or placing the folded linens in the closet. I witness the consistent loving kindness expressed towards the patients in sometimes challenging circumstances, and that, I believe, the Navy SEALs is a really good comparison. The cheerfulness, steadfastness, and principle expressed by the nurses are an inspiration. They are a clear example of seeing the true man instead of seeing a disturbing picture of disabled or weak person. By their example, they remind me to more steadfastly behold the perfect man wherever I am. That's part of the whatever it takes. Or you've got what it takes. When I provide transportation for Peace Haven residents to the St. Louis Art Museum, it's a wonderful visit, and I look forward to more. When I agreed to help a patient record her finances, I thought, oh God. It gave me an opportunity to shed limitations. Previously, thinking I was no good at balancing a checkbook, the patient's request prompted me to affirm that God enables me to express order, intelligence, balance, accuracy, and joy in the process. I appreciated the opportunity to grow in this area. I'm grateful for all the good Peace Haven has given me.
Thank you, Margie. Walt Davis, now there's a special story in him. We elected him to the board last Thanksgiving, and then we booted him off. Because there's a little bylaw that says you can't be on the board if you have a relative, and Deb came to work for us. So instead, we got him on our building committee.
Thank you, Chestnut. It was a very brief period on the board, but I could tell you, I couldn't be more grateful to have turned it over to my daughter Debbie. So I'm so grateful that she can serve. As Chestnut mentioned, I'm serving as a volunteer on the facilities committee, and a lot of my talk has already been presented. So I just, I had to scratch out a lot of my comments here, because if you were watching the video, you saw a lot of the progress that was made in the facilities, particularly the asphalt that was done. Has been mentioned, the lower south wing has been completely renewed, painted, new carpet, those types of things. But the thing that I'm focusing primarily on is what you don't see, because there's a lot of behind-the-scenes activity going on, particularly with the air handling systems and things that aren't of great interest to a lot of people, but they're so critical to the effective and efficient operation of the facility. So that has been a real joy to identify these things, and the board has been very, very supportive of funding a lot of these changes. It was also mentioned either by Tom or Ted that we have a group coming in Monday from Atlanta. There are probably 3 engineers for 3 days that are going to go through the facility from one end to the other, and we expect to get a report by Christmas that gives us some insight as to some of the things that we can do beyond what we've already done. So we're really excited about that. They even have a program that helps you forecast over the next 5, 10, 15 years about what the facility's needs are going to be, so you can fund them. I have grown so much on this committee, and I could just do a little recounting of who's on this committee, because I think they deserve to be acknowledged. Cushy Switzer, who's been mentioned before, Dan Brewer and Tom Fuller are all members of the board that are on the committee. Facilities professionals, Steve Fulkerson and Dan McClellan and myself are on the board, and then we're supporting Annie, Penny, and Valerie and on this committee. So that has been, just a delight to be a member of this group. The thing that I've really derived from the volunteering has been the growth that I have made in my metaphysical work, because the board and Peacehaven operates at a very high level of metaphysics, and I found that I had to really dig deeper in my understanding of Christian Science so I could apply it. So a little promo out in the lobby if you're mingling. If anybody has an interest in joining the committee, please see me or one of the other members that I mentioned, because we very much welcome having you be a part of our wonderful activity. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Walt. And this is Tracy Switzer, and he is a donor and a volunteer. Thank you.
Okay, well, I certainly appreciate the mission of Peacehaven, and I've been an outpatient services receiver as well. I sometimes do stupid things.
We will handle that for all of us right now.
Anyway, by serving people relying completely on Christian Science for healing and supporting those victories, Peacehaven has a powerful mission and serves a vital function. If Peacehaven weren't there, where would you go for service when you needed some support? I mean, you'd have to choose options that aren't all that comfortable for us and not conducive to our way of thinking and not in alignment with our expectations. I donate to Peacehaven because I want to support Christian Science and the movement for generations to come and make sure that this kind of care and facility is available in perpetuity. Especially in this community, which is so rich with so many Christian scientists. Because fees alone don't cover the expenses, there's a wonderful opportunity for the community to help support Peacehaven. And it's wonderful to be a part of that support. They need our financial support to maintain and be sustained. I've also appreciated being a volunteer, working shoulder to shoulder and side by side with so many other Prin dads and students and others in the community to do some yard work and landscape help and painting of the various rooms and wings. It's wonderful to work with the community in support of such a vital element within our community. And I value that the organization has been so well run. I'm certainly encouraged by the turnaround that you guys have experienced through your elevated thought and expectation for good and growth and being able to be balanced in your budget. It's wonderful. And I certainly appreciate that while you're doing all this balancing of your budget, you're also expanding and expanding your services like the child parent care and visiting nurse care and things like that. So I'm encouraged by what I'm seeing going on at Peacehaven, and I continue to want to support it.
Oh, thank you so much, Tracy.